Welcome to Bunyad Podcast by Dr. Monica Nagpal. We did not inherit this world like this. Then how can we give this to our next generation in this form? We need to reflect mindfully on our core values and make conscious efforts towards protecting the planet and also achieve all sustainable development goals. With Bunyad, I, Monica Nagpal, will bring to fore sustainability champions who are striving to bring back harmony with the nature and also dignity of each life. Namaskar, doston. Once again, we are here with yet another episode of Bunyad, laying the foundation of sustainable living. And today we have Abhilasha Singh joining us from Dubai. And we have lots and lots of things to learn from Abhilasha. Welcome, Abhilasha, to the show.
Thank you so much, Monica. And just a correction, I'm from Abu Dhabi. I'm in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, she is joining from Abu Dhabi.
I was in Dubai earlier. Now,
Yes.
last 4.5 years, I'm in Abu Dhabi.
Okay. So, Abhilasha is a full-time into sustainability and she is an educator. And now I will request her to, because it is a long list, I cannot remember whatever she is. So I will request Abhilasha to please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. And thank you so much for inviting me for this session of podcast. I'm really honored. And it's my privilege to be talking to you and talking to the audience through your platform. So to start with, I'm a principal of Shining Star. I'm a principal, sorry. I'm principal of Shining Star International School, Abu Dhabi. And I'm a passionate educator. I'm crazy about teaching. I'm crazy about SDGs. So just as a title to speak of, I'm a UN SDG Global School Program school advocate. Which is under UNSDNS, that is United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network. And they have this program where they select, through a very competitive application, they select school advocates globally, and then they train them on SDGs toolkit and STEM in SDGs and play-based learning. I mean, how to incorporate education sustainable in the curriculum. So I'm trained under the Global School Program. I'm also a UAE ambassador for Climate Action Project. I'm also a T4 lead ambassador for T4 Education. So our work is to spread the message of climate action. And as T4, I also help to spread the message of Best School Prize and also recruit more ambassadors in the program and prepare or create a community, basically enlarge the community of teachers in the T4 setup. What else? I am a model UN trainer. I've picked up some awards on the way.
Yes.
But at ground level, I'm a passionate teacher. I used to do a lot of MUN. Now I don't get to do so much MUN because of time. So I've got trained teachers to take it forward. But I've again model UN also. I have trained at the UN headquarters under the DPI, that is their Department of Information Communication, and they had started this program where they taught, or what is it word called? Okay, for the want of a better word, they taught about, there were about more than 500 in the first session. Wow. in UN for MUN program. So there, Mr. Yotev, he created the curriculum and trained I was looking for the word trained, and trained the university students, teachers, model UN advisors on the how real UN works. Okay. So I've done this training twice, and then I've also worked with Wafuna on a short assignment where I went to South Korea for the summer program. So all these have been part of the learning journey. Now I'm also part of the UN Common Cluster major NGO group, and we are part of the civil society. And again, we conduct programs like for the last 2 years now. Even now, we are preparing to conduct a side event at the UN HLPF that's going to happen on the 10th of July. So the governments around the world are going to be in UN. And this will be 2 meetings. There'll be government meetings and there are going to be civil society meetings. So we've got a place in the UN at the Bahai Center. So I'll be posting that also for you to spread the network, the information, and people interested in unity for SDGs and eradicating poverty through through unity. So all that discussions are going to take place on the 10th of July in our event. Otherwise, like there are many other events, and our event is hybrid event. So there are people from around the world who are passionate about unity and the solidarity for SDGs can join in. So I'll share that information. So that's
wonderful.
the current thing. Yeah. I just also recently went to Kenya to attend the CSO. That is the UN civil society organization, which was a conference was held at UNIC Nairobi, and this was one of its first kind where they they got all the CSOs. Like there were about more than 1,000 CSOs that were attending. 1,000 people that attended, 2,000 in fact, and the UN Zero Draft of Pact of the Future, which is going to be discussed at the Summit of the Future in September. So there were lovely conversations, very empowering conversations that took place in that conference. And the Digital Compact and also the Impact Coalition, these have their own segments of the Pact of the Future where they discussed about what all amendments that they wanted to suggest, and also the work that they're doing. Like I attended in 2 days, it was not possible to attend all the events and all the Impact Coalition sessions. So I focused on Earth governance, Earth trusteeship, and also the future generation. So now future generation is one of the elements of our common agenda, which was given by the Secretary General, UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres. And this, my common agenda, has elements on different aspects which are important now for the world.
Yes.
And these are peace related. These are transformative education. This is future generation. There is Earth. There's Earth trusteeship, Earth governance, and there is Digital Compact. So there are different lot. I mean, there's a long list of elements. I'll not be able to say all here, but that's where the work is going now. So focus is on the Summit of the Future, UN Pact, Zero Draft of Pact of the Future, and these are very important documents that everybody who's connected with not just education but
general
and also look sort of like thinks of themselves as stewards of Earth. So you don't have to necessarily be in government jobs to be thinking about Earth trusteeship and Earth stewardship, environment stewardship. So this is because this affects all of us. If it is peace and security, it affects every individual on this earth. Outer space, again, it affects every individual on this earth. So these are different components. So that's just like the long and short of what's happening.
Amazing. And if we can just go on just for the introduction itself, then it can just finish the whole podcast just with the introduction. That is why I said I cannot speak. Let her speak for herself. But all of this didn't happen in a day. We all know that Rome was not built in a day. Similarly, what Abhilasha is today was never happening in a day. Where did you stumble upon sustainability? How did it all start?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. So, I'll start with this point that we Indians, and especially people in the global south, and we call them the less developed countries, we are natural environmentalists. We are natural conservationists, because you know that we don't throw anything in the house. Everything has to be reused. Everything has to be recycled. There's a joke about this Papa's pajama, which go ultimately, from being a pillow cover to then goes into the kitchen and becomes a duster. Like we don't throw things.
Yes.
So this is inbuilt in us. This is this is something that the care for the environment is inbuilt in us by default. Unfortunately, because being a poor country, we don't have, we'll know that the people who are from that section of society where wealth is not automatic, you have to work for it. There the conservation of things is automatic. It's by default. People have it in the DNA. So having said that, I've always been fond of recycling and do it yourself projects. So being an army wife, I used to also run the Army Wives Welfare Association. So we used to run programs. So we always had this do it yourself components where we taught summer camp. I would get children to get these recycle, reuse activities and all. But then formally, it started with actually I got an opportunity to teach environment education when my husband was posted at Siliguri. So this was Mahabhat High School. And this environment education was mandatory that year. Those few years, it was mandatory as an additional subject by the government. And I'm so lucky that I happened to be there. Nobody was wanting to teach that subject. Nobody wanted to take an additional burden. Vacancy was there and I happened to get that vacancy. So I was given grade 10, 11, 12. And, so that the course itself piqued my interest into doing something formal.
Yeah.
Formal education, because environmental science and as a subject, as a paper was just one paper in when I was doing my master's in zoology. So then I decided to apply for this course in IGNOU. This is the PG diploma in environment conservation and sustainable development. And IGNOU का famous है, like IGNOU में entry easy है, but exit is very difficult. They make you study a lot. So imagine that I had to take a part-time work. Like I literally asked my school that I want to take 1 year of study leave because I want to finish this course.
Oh my
But my
God,
school
that's
was
so
very
much.
kind because there is a lot to write, and you just can't copy paste from anywhere. If you're a good, if you're a dedicated, I'm not even saying good. If you are a dedicated student or an academician, you would want to study properly and give and then take the exam. So this time I was teaching in Subatu in Pine Grove School, and my school was very kind to give me half partial, what is it called, partial work
half day
opportunity. So
Yeah.
I used to in the morning then. So what I took up was, because I was I was responsible for 2 extracurricular activities in the school. I used to do the Model UN in the school, and also I was responsible for the global connecting classroom program from British Council. So then I would go in the afternoon, and during the daytime then I would study. And then I had to write my exams, and first you have to submit your assignments, and also that really got me, because I studied so deeply. It was very interesting. And
Wow.
fast forward, then I was in the Dubai, and then this opportunity for Teach SDG opened with Take Action Global. It was only Jennifer Williams who was conducting that. Later on, Jennifer Williams and Koen Timmers, they joined hands to co-found this organization called Take Action Global. So Climate Action Project and Goals Project is part of Take Action Global now. So earlier, so all that. So first, then the Teach SDG ambassador, and then after that, the Goals Project, Climate Action Project, and then it is like a roller coaster after that. It is like literally on the speedometer,
Absolutely. So wonderful. So we can just understand by what you have just now said, Abhilasha, that it is your Abhilasha. The name says it all. It is your Abhilasha which actually got to what she has become today. No, she is now helping so many people around the world to get connected to SDGs, and she's doing literally groundwork to really bring that to. It is not only just awareness, but groundwork is being happening, which we really appreciate the way she's taking up, and she's taking up young students going to school and teaching there. So means that you are catching the people young, and because those are the children who are responsible for taking this all forward, the SDGs forward. So catching them young is very, very important. So one person,
they are the grassroots of the society.
Absolutely. So one person's intention is what has brought about so much of change, which is doing so much there. So I'm sure all of this has creating a huge impact. What you are doing initially, also when you started small, I'm sure that started to create little impact in the schools itself. Looking by your wish of really doing it to the fore, not doing just covering material, but to the ground level you have been doing. Because if you're studying so nicely that you wanted to take a leave, I'm sure the work you would be doing would be really, really wonderful. So please share some things, some probably an anecdote or some memory which you have about anything, and how your thing is creating an impact.
Thank you, Monica. I'll talk about personal impact and professional, like in the school with the children and the teachers. So while I was in Siliguri, my personal challenges, how the teachers would sort of belittle the subject of environment education and not give it so much importance. But then the way I taught, I had a huge attention from the children. It was, and my children got centennials in the subject.
Wow.
I got them so interested that they studied really well, and there are a lot of children in grade 12 who got 100 out of 100. But in the staff rooms, the conversations were not. I don't let that sort of get to me. That frustration get to me, because the conversation, like say for example, one time one teacher was saying, "Oh, children are not interested in this." And she was a very senior teacher, and I did not want to be rude to her, but then very nicely, very politely, I told her, I said, "Ma'am, it is our job to get the children interested. A teenager would never be interested. Teenagers are teenagers. Their priorities are very different. But it is the job of a teacher to get the child interested." And believe you me, these kids I taught only for 1 year, but I still have them on my friend list. Like they still wish me every Teacher's Day, and there are some of them who really tell me that, "Ma'am, what all you said, we still remember." So that's the impact of a teacher. You were talking about impact. That's the first impact of a teacher.
Yes.
And then there was an opportunity that came from Government of India National Science Forum. So they were conducting this NTSC, National Teacher Science Conference, and they asked for papers. And I was so full of this want to get this message across to the government. I applied for it, and that was my first time. Like, I was a teacher that time. I was a young teacher. That was the first time that my abstract got accepted, and then there was an invitation to present at the national forum, and that was huge. And that is huge for any teacher.
Absolutely.
It was my first opportunity, and because you also are sometimes you don't know, you're underconfident, you're not sure that whether you are that strong in terms of academic profession. Where are you, like where you stand? If somebody doesn't tell you, till the time there's no mirror that speaks to you, you're still looking for that ground where you need to stand strong. So this was an opportunity when I felt like, all right, so my paper got accepted, my abstract got accepted, and I was very excited about it. And then the presentation so my paper was environmental education, the challenges. So they really liked that, and I think the government was also in that state of mind to listen to these conversations. So it was a very good experience. And then to get your school name into the book that gets published with your entire submission paper, that's a wonderful feeling. So from there, and then keep me tracked, Monica. I go like I get lost in my conversation.
Yes. So we'll come to now when you came back to you Dubai, you worked there, and now in Abu Dhabi. So how is your work keeping you that impact is created in the whole country there, or in the schools besides with your own school besides there? And how did you start to be a global person then? Just about that in a crisp way.
I'll start with the good news that I received today in the morning. We had applied for this ESG, Europe Sustainable Development Summit, Environmental Challenge. And just today on the LinkedIn, they posted my school as the winner of that challenge. So there's an opportunity of a teacher. Yeah, so the ESG's, the European Summit Environment Summit is going to be held in October in Madrid, Spain. So there's an invitation for the school teacher to travel to attend the summit. Otherwise, like it's the ticket is very expensive. So that's the news I'll start with.
Wonderful.
So what happened? What happened here in the school was that then once I did I got the opportunity to get to know about the Teach SDGs, and this is where I will bring in Twitter as a professional learning network and as a professional development platform, which is free of cost, most cost-effective professional development platform that I have experienced, where your connections, you don't have to work very hard. You follow somebody and your connections, it's networking from there. So there I found Dr. Jennifer Williams, who is the author of Teach Boldly. And this Teach Boldly is a book I would recommend to all young teachers, all teachers who are, who are passionate about teaching. And there are such lovely tips that Dr. Williams has given about how you can start your own project, and, how you can integrate technology in your work. And also how you can use technology for social good.
Wow.
And that's exactly what has happened, that through the use of technology, we've connected teachers and educators, entrepreneurs from around the world. So
Mhm.
one opportunity has led to another opportunity. So when I became a Teach SDG ambassador, I got the opportunity to then bring Goals Project to the school. So Koon Timmers opened Climate Action Project. So we got that to the school. We applied to become facilitators, and from facilitators, the journey has become to, I'm a country ambassador for the last 4 years now, since 2019. So the work has been to bring Climate Action Project to schools in UAE. So as a collaborator, I ensure that as many schools can receive the information to apply for the project. So, you know,
Yeah.
and this is a lovely 6-week design thinking project where the children become part of the solutionary. And for 6 weeks, there is a curriculum which is teachers don't have to work at all, work very hard for this. Everything is pre-prepared. They only need to spend time to read it and then bring it to their classes. So there's a
Okay.
week by week, the instructions are there. And then there is a day of solution, and after the end of the 6 week, where there are UN is present at that day of solution, and they are selected students projects which are really, like, you know, they are really innovative and they have sustainable solutions. So these schools and these students are invited to present on the day of solution. This is a format for Goals Project also. It's a marathon day that
So
day.
this is for which class, which grades?
This
of
is
students?
open. This is open for K-12 to university, and my
Okay.
school, right from KG to grade 12, each and every class is part of this project. And the beauty is that even my KG students conduct independently virtual meetings with schools from, like, partner schools. Like, there are 3-4 schools that day, on that particular day, for the virtual meetup. And of course, teachers help the children, but the entire program is conducted by the children themselves. So right from KG to grade 12. So beauty, I mean, I love seeing the KG children talking about whether you know the difference between weather and climate. That has been the most beautiful part. You know,
Wow.
so
And they are not impacting, like this is not affecting their studies. They kind of, the parents are not saying that no, better to
Parents are
study.
very supportive, in fact. Parents are very
Yeah.
supportive. We have also educated the parents as well. We run programs for them. I keep sending them packs, like, you know, which they can explore with their children at home, or they can study. And also now what we've done is that we've created a 1 period a week for just SDG activities. So
Okay.
then studies are not impacted, and the children have an area where they can be themselves, and, you know, they can explore the co-curricular part of the curriculum.
Correct. So dedicatedly, if you have certain period, then you don't have to bog in every class and you have to tell them.
And we've also integrated gardening in the curriculum. So we've got once a week mandatory, once a week gardening for each class. So the children have a place in the vegetable garden and they tend to it, and, you know, there's entire learning. So we've got a proper curriculum for gardening. So if anybody wants to ask and anybody wants to explore, I would love to share it with them. We've got our scheme and scope scope and sequence of the curriculum, and the entire matrix of progression of and the children also learn how to make organic pesticides. They also learn which plant will, like, you know, the seasons, basically seasonal plants, and what grows when, and how to tend for them, and how to look after the plants. And this is about, you know, ownership, responsibility, empathy.
Absolutely.
And
So it is the
leadership.
values. It is not only about what they are doing manually, but is how their values are getting inculcated with all of these, whatever they are doing hands-on activity. The values also getting inculcated with them.
And, you
Yes.
know, I believe that a child who's close to nature, has a direct exposure to nature, will definitely learn to care for nature. And when we
Absolutely.
want our children to learn gardening, that means, for me, it is that all our children should be able to grow their own. They should learn how to grow their own vegetables, and they should be able to grow their own vegetables, because in the coming years, and this is, well, sorry for being too fast on this, because the ideas exploding in my head. In the coming years, irrigation is going to be a huge problem.
Yeah.
So farming is going to be more vertical than horizontal. So the
Yes.
children need to know about that. So we also do have a hydroponic unit, which is honestly not very successful at the moment, because, again, children are torn between the classes, and, you know, they want to
Yes.
explore extracurricular or co-curricular. So that I still need to look into that, how we can make it more effective. But
Wow.
the gardening is doing well. And you were talking about, like, you know, how this has impacted UAE and things, and the work here. So I've also got the teachers also to apply. So every year the teachers apply for either becoming a facilitator in the climate action project, goals project, and also UN Global School Program SDG advocates. So every year we've got some teachers who qualify and they take training under the UN SDNS program. So these again are, I think, great opportunities for the teachers because.
Right.
So I stopped it because that's my message that I'll tell later. Because these are wonderful areas for teachers. It's a professional development for teachers.
Yes,
You
yes.
can't be cocooned in your own classes. You need to
Absolutely.
explore what's happening around the world.
And if the
That's
teacher is
how-
also, if the teacher is well aware only, then she can tell the students, no?
Yeah, and then she can buy the vision of the leader also.
Yes,
Because she'll say
yes.
that, okay, I've heard my principal saying this, but I've also heard this from outside. So that means that, this is something that's good. That's good. That's
Correct.
awareness.
Correct. Everything is in sync.
Yeah. And it is a lovely opportunity also to create your own professional learning network. You have your own PLC. So we've got I've got friends now, we have our own book club. We've not met each other, but every year we come back for the book club. And or we have some other things. Now I'm also part of the UNESCO Greening Education Partnership. So UNESCO GEP has a greening, they have this program, which is the Greening Education Partnership, which has a target of getting 90% of the schools around the world to be green schools. So there is a proper pathway, like they've got verticals on greening schools, greening communities, greening curriculum, greening teacher. So there's teacher training, there is curriculum, and now the capacity building for the teachers. So those kind of work which is happening out there, and which is a very big work that's happening out there. But do teachers know in their own schools? Are leaders aware of this in their own schools? So then also that work becomes in spreading that awareness.
Absolutely. This is amazing. We can just really go on and on this. But what comes to my mind now is that, okay, as an ambassador and as a person who is already connected to places wherever we are, but as a common man, as a lay person, how do you think we can really work for SDG 4, which is quality education? How can I contribute as an individual towards this? Please give some practical tips on that.
So I'll just give an example, and then we'll build it up on that. So during COVID, just before the COVID started, Koen Timmers called out to educators on the social media platform who all would like to teach in the school that he has started in Kenya, in the Kakuma refugee camp. And so there were teams that were built up to build the curriculum. And then once the curriculum was ready, the curriculum was given to the teachers who applied and were selected. And then these teachers had to prepare lesson plans. And these were asynchronous lesson plans, So when we started that, and immediately after that, COVID hit. So and I got my teachers to apply for that as well. So then the teachers, when COVID hit, the same training that they had received, or the directions that it was so easy for us to move into COVID, because the teachers are already, some of them were already used to, they already knew what was asynchronous, and they already knew how to conduct a lesson plan online. And I used these teachers to then train the other ones. School. So why I gave that example is that, you don't have to wait for somebody to tell you to do things. You need to volunteer. So volunteering is a very big part of my work. There are a lot of places I volunteer, like the UN work that I do. There's no salary for it. There is no monetary remuneration for it. But because I'm very passionate, and there are like-minded people in that field, in the different spheres, that we come together. We come together for solidarity, for education, for SDGs, because we know that we are responsible for our future generation. So one is advocacy and activism for SDG. So how you asked me that, how can I as an individual? So one person is a very big power. Is a power of one. And that one can then exponentially grow into many more, So So 3 A's of SDGs, if you practice: activism, advocacy, and taking action. And
Yeah.
this taking action is extremely important. So
Mm.
charity starts at home. I cannot go and profess outside if my own practices are not sustainable. So
Absolutely.
first we look into our own house. We see what all can we changes, tweaking can we do in our life, in our own environment, and then use that as an example to then spread the message to your neighborhood, then expand the neighborhood, and like what we are doing, technology for social good, we then can bring people together on the platform and then spread the message. I know there are different modules, different ways that you can conduct this. So
Wow.
I believe in the 3 A's of advocacy, activism, and taking action for
Yeah.
SDGs. I
Yeah.
just hope that answers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm
That
not-
gives a direction to anybody who really wants to go. First thing is really volunteer, and at home. At home, wherever you are, you have your own staff, you have, if you are talking about only SDG 4 also about education, so are you aware that your mates, your domestic help children,
Yeah.
what are they doing? If you can contribute a little in their study, their communication skills, if you know English, they don't know, if you can help them to do that, or even help them monetary to get the
Monitoring.
books, to
So,
get the books. Yeah.
Monica, charity in our school is I'm sorry I didn't talk about it earlier. So we have this program of gratitude. Gratitude is our attitude. So,
Hmm.
so this we started this during the COVID, where we felt that there is a little disenchantment from the children. We saw there's a screen in between.
Yeah.
Video is off, and you're forever like, switch on
Hmm.
your videos. And to the juniors, we used to say, switch off your mic. So this kind of, all throughout the day. So then we started this practice of gratitude as a pedagogy. So gratitude is my attitude. And with this gratitude, we've got children being in that mode of thankfulness, even the teachers. And so we conduct a lot of charity during the year. We've got Ramadan, we have Solace, and this is
Yes.
a big support from the parental community, where they
Yeah.
donate for the charity, and we make boxes, and then we give it. Earlier we used to give it at the labor camp, and we would distribute care packages at the traffic light, but then the government put a stop to it. So we give it to Red Crescent charity, which is the partner, community partner for our
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
and then everything is done by the children. The children pack the stuff. So donation is brought in by the parents, drop in at the gate. It is brought in, and then the children segregate. Children pack. Children then pick up the cartons and put it in the truck when the Red Crescent comes in. So
Wow.
this work of it is like, dignity of labor first and foremost.
Yes.
Second is the
Absolutely.
feeling that, and I tell the children, as if you are in a position to give, you are the
Yes.
luckiest person in this world.
Absolutely.
And when you give, you receive. So there is abundance. So there is
Yes.
barakat, and barakat in our Indian culture is
Yes.
a
Yes.
very integral part of our Indian culture.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that abundance, when you seek abundance, it is like, this is how abundance happens. When you give,
Absolutely.
you receive. So we do this at different points in the year. And I like to highlight that our teachers this year, for the World International Women's Day on 8th of March. So our teachers said that we want to do this a little different this year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they donated care items. So then we discussed and we divided work, who's getting what. And so care packages were then distributed to our ancillary staff
Yes.
in
Yes.
the
Very
school.
important.
It
Yeah.
was wonderful. So,
Yeah.
so this is something that's become part of the DNA in the school. So
Wonderful.
that way, when you spoke about teaching anyone who teaching the marginalized section, anybody from marginalized section of
Yes.
society.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's where all these fit in. These fit in the
Absolutely.
boxes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you are, as an individual, how much a person can do. You don't need a position. You don't need a government position to do anything of this sort which she's doing. You don't need that authority, but you just need that wish, that abhilasha. It is your wish which can turn your whole life, and it can help turn people's life around you. And that is what SDG is all about. Today we are talking about majorly SDG 4, which is on education, but this relates to any other SDG. There are 17 of them, and it relates to any of them that
All are interconnected. Monica, all are interconnected.
They're all interconnected. So we can just work in any of them which we want, and we can do wonders for the society, for the planet, for our own self. So one last message from you, Abhilasha, a one-liner, what you want to give, impactful message.
Can I just give one example more, because I forgot that when these are important examples. That's why I just want to. So when I went to Kenya, the Kakuma project, Kakuma refugee camp is in Kenya, and I wanted to visit there, but there was some listing in my air
Itinerary, yeah.
in my flight. Sorry, in my
Yeah.
flights. So then I had to cancel my program, though I'd booked my tickets. So why I was going was I was taking a care package for the children there. So our school, this time the school management, they helped. I just spoke to them that I want to take something. So then we took all stationery materials and some hygiene products for the girls there. And this is again, I had to post it from Nairobi. And when they received it, they were so happy. And then that happiness is like, it's nice. It's like really warms
Absolutely.
the
Absolutely.
cockles of your heart.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
so my message to the education fraternity, to individuals who are passionate about doing something in life, I would just say, be a part of something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when we think of not just ourselves, it's service learning. And this service learning is what helps and makes the world go round, because there are individuals who are ready to help others, help the needy. And when you give care from your hand, those little hearts you can visualize fluttering around, they'll go around the world, multiply and come back to you.
Absolutely.
So that goodwill that you create, that's actually may not have a monetary amount to it, because everything in the world now is connected to economics and it's connected to finance. So what you do might not get you a lot of money in your bank, but what you start, that multiplies, and as a project or as a movement, it goes around. And this is what the world needs. World needs individuals who take a step back from their selfish interest and step forward to help anyone who's in need and do something for society. And that's what will help the world fix itself, and be a healthy world and a loving world. So be part of something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. So going from your me to we in
lovely connection.
Very short, very me to we have to just move from me to we, and that is how being a contributive citizen of the world can really. It is not about becoming a global citizen and being in some other part of the country, but you can be a contributive citizen wherever you are. You can start wherever you are,
I
and
love that word, contributive citizen. I'll speak to this about my children. Contributive citizen, such a lovely word, and lovely thought. And
thank you so much. Yes.
Lovely. Thank you so
much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Abhilasha. It was such an enlightening and a very lightning. The aurora which is there behind you, it was really creating that kind of an aura for you, and we had a very lightening and enlightening session with you. So thank you so much, and I'm sure we will have a lot of inquiries of how we can do. I will also have some inquiries which I will ask you later as to how we can really engage ourselves, engage our own schools here in India, and how we can move forward in the right direction. Yeah.
My school is also a kindness school. These are things are now coming in my head, blopping when you're talking, when you're speaking about few things, and something comes in my head. I forgot. Our school is also a kindness school. And then, if we can get this to all the schools around the world, just imagine these are little pockets of kindness.
Correct. So we will work on that again. And thank you so much. It was really wonderful. And for the audience, we have been waiting for a long time for Abhilasha to come on the show. I'm revealing this, and it was worth waiting for. Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Monica. It's been a real pleasure.